Good morning, good afternoon, Mr. X's class. We're here to talk about our vocabulary word for today, English 4, which is scope. So scope can be a noun. So I think the most common academic meaning is going to be this one. The range of things, noun number one, the range of things that a subject, an organization, an activity, etc. deals with. I think, or even a person, or you could talk like a person's job. That's a common way to use it. Or like an agreement, a document. You can say within the scope of this paper, this document, so etc. That's other things it can be. It could be like a person's job or a document, I think also. So it's within the range of things that this deals with. So like for example, I am an English teacher. Vocabulary is within, you often say within for scope. It's within my scope as an English teacher. It's part of what I do. But teaching algebra is not, because I'm not a math teacher. And that's an example sentence I have here. Teaching vocabulary is within the scope of an English teacher's job. Or preparing students for college is part of my scope. Or we could even say, we could change it and say part of EP's scope. And now it's talking about an organization. This organization deals with preparing people for college. It's part of what this school as an organization does. And then over here we have another example about essays, which is related to that same meaning number one. So for an essay should deal with certain things that the teacher tells you in the definition, in the assignment. In the assignment it says, write an essay about a particular thing. So you shouldn't write about something else. So you should not include information in an essay that is outside the scope of the assignment. So if you have an essay about a book, and it just says analyze this character, you shouldn't start writing about this character is like my brother, and then tell a story about your brother, because that's not what the assignment said. The assignment tells you what the scope is. You talk about this, don't talk about other things. So the scope is like the area that is included in something, that is dealt with, de que se trata, something. So two, the opportunity or ability to do or achieve something. So this is, I feel like a lot of sentences with number one could kind of also be number two. It's hard to sometimes know which one it is. Because you could say, teaching vocabulary is within my scope. That could also be number two. It's within my ability. I can do it. So I think it's maybe depends on the context to know which one sometimes. Because number one is, it's within the things that I deal with. Number two would be, it's within my ability. But I think both are true. So, okay, and then number three is informal, very informal. So to look at or examine something thoroughly, but that's an informal word. It's almost, I would say almost a slang word. It's not, don't use it in an essay like that. Don't use it in an essay like that. Use it in speaking informally. So my example for that is, my buddies scoped the party looking for cool dudes. So you have a couple of words in there that are not appropriate for an essay, that are informal, right? Buddies and dudes are both informal. So scope is kind of in that meaning. The other two meanings are formal, but so these two meanings is formal. You can use it in an essay. But if you're talking about scope as a verb, it's informal. So you might say a sentence like, say something like that. Scope the party means they looked around the party to see who they could hang, cool people that they wanted to spend time with at the party. Are there any cool people at this party? No word families today. Synonyms, capacity, ability would be like number two. Breadth or range would be like number one. Range is another way to say like what's included. Antonym, opposite, would be like inability, opposite of ability. And then for Spanish, I have something to talk about. So with the meanings that we discussed here, we could say alcance is like this, the range. And then we can add habilidad for number two. So one thing that's on your card is mira. And I was talking to my students and they told me mira is actually, so there's another meaning of scope, but we didn't have enough space on the card to put four meanings. The other meaning of scope, it's a noun, and it's a piece on a gun usually, on a gun, un rifle, una pistola, a gun, that you look through. When you're trying to see what to shoot at, you look through it. That's the scope. So actually mira in Spanish means that. It's another meaning of scope. It's for a gun. But because it's not one of your meanings, so it does mean, you can translate scope with this, but it's a meaning that's not on your card. So if you want, you can write a note of that. This is the meaning for a gun. It's not those meanings. Or probably for next year we'll just cross it out because it's not on your card. So that's it for scope, and I hope you enjoyed today's installment. Thank you for helping.